You're listening to The Jacob Valk Show. He's breaking down the latest and greatest in sports as only he can. Follow him on Twitter at RealJacobValk. Here he is, Jacob Valk.
Hello, sports fans! Welcome to another New York Islanders episode of The Jacob Valk Show. I am Jacob Valk, and I am absolutely disgusted at the current state of my team. Last week, they had 5 games, and they really should have won 3 of them. They really should have gotten 7 of 10 points, and I'd have been happy. They had the Rangers twice, one at the Garden, one at the Coliseum. They had the Red Wings, the Capitals, and the Hurricanes. I wanted them to beat the Rangers both times, beat the Red Wings. They could lose to the Capitals. That's okay. If you lose respectably to the Capitals, I have no complaints with that. And I wanted them to get a point against the Hurricanes, which they did. That's really the only game that I'm happy with. Well, that and the Red Wings. Everything else, I am disgusted with. Watching this team makes me want to pull my own eyeballs out. This is a team that had a 17-game point streak. And the way that they're playing now, it makes it seem like a distant memory. They are playing like garbage. Absolute, unadulterated trash. You cannot, under any circumstances, get blown out by the Rangers. And you definitely can't lose to them after destroying them in the first period and then giving up the game-winning goal with 24 seconds left in the third period. Let me tell you something. There were more Rangers fans there than Islanders fans, and they were going nuts. And they had every right to. Brassard takes a stupid penalty. This supposedly greatly disciplined team takes an asinine penalty. One of the veterans on the team, and it blows the game. You can't sell that Islanders fans. You think you guys deserve a new arena? Let me tell you, you don't. There's no excuse for there to have been more Rangers fans there than Islanders fans. But that's not where I want to pick a fight. I'll move past that. I shouldn't, but I will. Because there's a more pressing matter. How do you give up 5 unanswered third period goals? You're up 3 going into the third. How do you not win that game? I don't give a damn if it's against the Capitals. That is absolutely 100% inexcusable. I gotta tell you, I saw a great, and I mean great tweet. I don't remember who wrote it, but it was so right. It said that the Capitals' loss was the worst loss in the Barry Trotz era, usurping the game on Thursday where Brassard took that stupid penalty. I'm still not over it. I got news for you, Lou, Barry, whoever's listening in the Islanders front office or the Islanders coaching staff. That's not what championship teams do. That's not what playoff teams do. You know what this team reminds me of? This team reminds me of the Islanders team from Peter Laviolette's second year. They had a great, and I mean great, playoff series against the Maple Leafs. Took them to 7 games. They were really close to winning that series. But Milbury didn't improve the roster enough. What were his big moves? Matthias Tamander, Jason Weimer, Aaron Asham. He did nothing to improve the roster, and because of that, they were humiliated in 5 games by the Ottawa Senators. That's what's going to happen here. You're going to take a step back from last year, and you're not going to make it out of the first round. If the season ends today, they're going up against the Penguins. I got news for you. The Penguins are going to destroy the Islanders in a 7-game series. Oh, but Jacob, everyone was picking the Penguins last year. You know what? Last year's Islanders wouldn't have done what they did in this past 5-game stretch. Oh, but Jacob, you're making too much out of this. It's a rough patch. They'll get out of it. No! They won't! This core cannot do that. This core has plateaued. There was a time, not too long ago, that they were sitting pretty as the second best team in the Metropolitan Division. And there was no chance whatsoever that they were going to miss the playoffs. Now, there's only a 3-point buffer between them and the best team that's not in the playoffs in the Eastern Conference, in the Philadelphia Flyers. You cannot say with any degree of confidence that they are going to make the playoffs this year. It's okay if you think they're going to. That's fine. That's perfectly fine. I'm sure if you looked at the computer-generated odds of the Islanders making the playoffs, I'm sure that it would be more than 50%. But use your eyes. This team is playing like trash. Look, 2 weeks ago, I told you that the Islanders needed to get a third-line center and a good defenseman. Now, their issues are bigger than that. They need superstars. Plural. Now, I don't know who those guys are. The best players that I've seen mentioned as being on the trade block are Jason Zucker and Chris Kreider. Now, those guys are not bad players by any stretch. In fact, they're really, really good players. But they're not great. They're not superstars. Lamoriello needs to do some wheeling and dealing like he did with the Devils and get some superstars. If he's not going to do that, then he is left with only one option. And this is something that, quite frankly, I thought they should have done when they lost Tavares. Blow the whole team up. This core has proven that they are not capable of winning a Stanley Cup. In fact, the Stanley Cup isn't even worth mentioning. They'll be lucky to make it out of the first round. Let's be real here, Islanders fans. They were embarrassed in the second round. They didn't even win a damn game! This is something that I've been saying for months. There's only so much that Barry Trotz can do. None of this is on Trotz. None. He is infallible. You want to blame Jim Hiller for the power play not being as good as it should be? Fine. You want to blame John Gruden for doing whatever it is John Gruden does? Fine. I have no idea what he does. I literally have absolutely no idea. A friend of mine actually knows him. He says that he's a nice guy. But I have no idea what he does for the Islanders. And you know what? I don't care. As great as Barry Trotz is, and he is great, He's a defending Jack Adams Award winner for a reason. There's only so much that he or any other coach could do with this team. Scotty Bowman, Al Arbor, Ken Hitchcock, whoever. If Lamoriello is not willing to make blockbuster trades, plural, then blow the whole thing up. Rebuild around Barzell. Trade everyone. Nelson, Beauvillier, Bailey, Lee, Eberle, Pulock, Letty. Everyone should be available. If you are not going to make the necessary improvements to this team, then what's the point? If you're content with just first-round playoff exits, second-round playoff exits if you're lucky, fine, Lou. Do nothing. But if you actually want to make a legitimate run at a Stanley Cup, make some big trades. There is no prospect that is untouchable. None. I want to see this team make a legitimate Stanley Cup title run. And for that to happen, multiple blockbuster trades are going to need to happen. And for those multiple blockbuster trades to be consummated, you are going to need to give up prospects like Dobson, Bellows, Wahlstrom, and Holmstrom. And there are people out there that don't want the Islanders to trade those prospects. They think that they're going to be really good players, and they think that they're going to lead the Islanders to another Stanley Cup. Which is fine. You can think that. But if that's your point of view, then don't complain when this team is eliminated in the first round. Or the second round if you're lucky. You can't have it both ways. You can't say, I want my team to win a Stanley Cup, and then not make the necessary moves that would precede a likely Stanley Cup run, when it is clear that those moves need to be made. If this team was a finished product, then stand pat. But they have holes. For God's sake, you see it every night. And for those holes to be filled in such a way to make this team a legitimate Stanley Cup contender, you're gonna need to trade some big young guns. It's not rocket science, folks. It's pretty obvious. If you're gonna get a superstar, then you have to give up a package worthy of a superstar. It's not that hard to understand. Now, don't be stupid with it. Don't trade them for Alexei Yashin 2.0 or Mark Parrish 2.0. Trade them for superstars. Trade them for great players. I don't know who those guys are. It is up to Lou Lamoriello to find out who teams are willing to trade. And for him to make those trades to better his team for now. I am sick and tired of waiting. I want to see this team be competitive now. I am not content with first and second round playoff exits. And if you are not willing to make those types of trades, then blow this core up. Pick a direction and follow it through. Don't half-ass it. Another regular episode of The Jacob Valk Show is coming later today. Until then, I am Jacob Valk saying that if they keep the New York Knicks together, they could finish 30 games out instead of 31.